California's gold is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser. Get ready for an adventure, and if I had more time, I'd set this whole thing up, but I'm running a few minutes late for my lunch date. She lives here in Beverly Hills, and I got to her house. She gave me great directions, and she was waiting right out in front for me to pick her up, and you give great directions.
Well, I have to. My little street is only 1 block long. One end of it buttons into Sunset, the other end comes around to Whittier. But you miss it on Whittier unless you do as I said, and you did. Stay in the right-hand lane when you make your left turn.
Boy, she gives great directions. And you also said, look for the house, the two-story white house with the blue door.
That's right. It's a handicapped blue color. I didn't realize that until after I'd chosen it. And when I got out of the car with my handicap sign in my hand, I thought, oh,
it matches the door.
It matches the door, yes.
And you said there was a chair on the front porch.
There were 2 chairs. Someone else liked the other one better than I did.
In Beverly Hills,
In Beverly
somebody
Hills, yes.
I've
arranged to put a little white chain on this.
Okay.
And they'll come back with them.
This is a beautiful house. How long? This is traditional old Beverly Hills. How long have you lived in this house?
Since 1943.
You're kidding.
In the same house. I know the sound of every door closing. I know everything about this house.
It's got good bones. It's got good
it has good bones.
Karma.
Good. Oh, honey, it lives a wonderful life. It did have 2 magnolia trees.
Well, here's one right here.
One,
what happened to the other one?
Well, it was on the other side of the door. You can still see the nails where it was holding it in. And my husband surprised me when I was out of town by having the driveway resurfaced. And it didn't dawn on him to say, don't go near that lump in the driveway. Just pile over it.
So they
cut it. They killed it.
Well, you've still got a beautiful yard, a beautiful house, a beautiful door. You're dressed fit to kill.
No,
I said this was going to be informal, low key.
It's a shirt and pants and a white cotton blouse.
Okay.
All right.
I've come to pick you up. Take my arm, because listen, when I pick you up for lunch, when I invite you to lunch, I pick you up at the front door.
You are a class act.
And what we're going to do, there's the car right over there. You don't mind riding in my little Ford, do you?
I hope it's a Ford.
It's an American car.
You betcha.
Okay. We're walking. Oh, beautiful roses, too.
I know. I'm so ashamed. I haven't deadheaded any of them, and I bet I don't get a second blooming.
Wow.
Unless I...
Look at your beautiful house. Boy, this is such a classic Hollywood house.
It was so much prettier with 2 trees.
Well, you can't bring that tree back.
I'm losing my big, beautiful tree.
Right over here?
Yes. Oh,
well,
that's the heartbreak.
It's a beautiful street. It's a beautiful day. We're here at the car. We're loading up, and we're heading to lunch. Give the camera a wave, Ann. We're off to lunch.
See you later.
Here we go. Stop number 2, because now I can reveal the fact that I don't have a lunch date with one Ann. I have a lunch date with 2 Anns, right?
But one has an E on the name and the other one doesn't.
You've got the E.
I've got the E.
The other Ann told me you had an
cheated.
E.
She was cheated.
She said you had a dangling E, an extra E that wasn't necessary.
But it's part of the name.
Absolutely. That's something we're going to talk about at lunch. This is amazing. You don't live that far from the other Ann, and your door's red, hers is blue.
Well, red, we need some white in there, don't we?
Yeah, well, you've got the white. Red, white, and blue. Now, this is who? Who's this fella?
This is my son, Dana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Did you
Pleasure.
come out just to make sure your mom was not just going off with anybody for lunch today?
I always check up on her to make sure that she's going in the right direction.
Does he really keep a pretty good eye on you?
Yes, he does. He really squashes a lot of my social life that way.
Well, thank you for letting her go off with me today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Because, we're with the other Ann, and she's kind of a wild one.
I know she is. She claims that she came in on the Mayflower, and she claims that she came in on the first wagon train going west. So between the two of them, I think you're in for real trouble.
I think we are. And you know what? We were standing out here waiting for just a second. You started talking about that tree. You've got something to say about a tree in your yard, too.
Can you see the fruit on it?
Yeah, they're, what are those?
They're called lumquats.
Lumquats.
Lumquat, yeah.
And was that tree supposed to be there?
No, if you look across the street, there's a tree there just loaded with the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I guess a little bird came over and dropped the
So
seed.
you got a lumquat
and
in your
It
yard.
just growed.
And you've lived in your house a long time
Yes,
as well.
I think about 54 years, maybe
in the
more.
same house.
Right. I decided when I moved out from New York, this was the last move I was going to make.
Wow.
So here I am.
Well, it's a beautiful house. It's
Thank
a beautiful front door. It's a beautiful tree in your yard. I got to meet your son.
My pleasure.
Now, we'll have her back.
Synchronizing watches?
Yeah, it's a little before noon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have them back by 3.
Fantastic.
Is that okay?
That would be wonderful.
Unless, who knows? We might get diverted. I'm not sure where we're going to end up.
Well, that's the beauty of modern technology. All you need to do is call my cell phone.
Yeah, we'll let you know if we're running late.
But with the two Anns, you never know what's going to happen.
Boy, that's the truth. We got one Ann over here. Come on and get my arm, and I'm putting the other Ann in the back seat.
Y'all have a great time.
The dog's out.
No, my cat, Blackie.
Cat's out.
The dogs are in the yard and the cat's out. That's another one of my duties.
All right, we're off.
Have fun, y'all.
We'll be back in a little while.
Take care.
We're off to lunch with the two Anns.
Hey, whoopee, here we go.
Okay, time has passed. We are now in downtown Los Angeles. I'm with the two Anns. You're without the E.
I'm without the E.
You're with the E.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we are coming to lunch at a place that Ann number 1 said she wanted to come to. She saw the program I did on this place on television and wanted to come see it for herself. What do you think at first glance, Ann?
It is delightful.
Isn't this beautiful?
Oh, it's a garden.
It's the French Garden.
Of course it's a garden.
Come on,
It's
here we go. And
charming.
you haven't ever seen this before.
No, I haven't.
Isn't this a surprise?
Yeah, I wish we could move it to Beverly Hills.
This is what's so beautiful about this place is that it's kind of hidden here in the industrial part of downtown Los Angeles.
You think we'd ever be able to find it again?
Ann would, wouldn't you? Find it again.
I'll find it. I'll
Okay.
study my map.
We're
and-
over here. Let's go get seated.
There's our menu.
There's the menu. Benoit is going to be here in a minute to greet us, but we'll go over here. We've got the table reserved over here.
Well, I am absolutely stunned.
We're heading over to our table in the French Garden. We're ready to sit down and have lunch, but we're going to talk for a few minutes before we eat. And here he comes. Here is the owner, Benoit.
Welcome to the French Garden.
Bless your heart.
It's
How
a honor.
Nice to meet
It's a
you.
honor. Nice
She
to meet
saw
you.
this on television.
That's
She saw the
right.
program
Thank
we
you for
did about
coming.
it.
Welcome. It's a great day
I am
today.
enchanted with what you have done.
It wasn't
with
too
us.
hard to find it.
Oh, she knows exactly how to get here.
No, she doesn't. She'll go home and check with her map.
I'll find it.
I'm so glad to have you here
Well,
today.
thank you for reserving the table for us.
Do you like this table? It's nice on the shade.
It's
Great.
lovely. And the flowers are so pretty.
I've never had a table reserved for me before here. You all are very
May I get
special.
you something to drink to start?
Well, Benoit took our drink orders, and then before we ordered our lunch, it was time to settle in and talk a little about the lives of these two remarkable ladies.
Okay, now we're kind of adjusted here. We're down at the table. We're getting ready to have our discussion. First of all, we need to talk about how we met, which was a couple of weeks ago in Palm Desert. We were all attending a fundraising dinner for the Living Desert, right?
Right.
We were all at the same table,
Yes,
but we didn't really
Very
know
large
each other at the time.
No, I knew Ann. Ann knew me. The other people were total strangers. And as I sat down and put my napkin on my lap, I looked up, and right across from me, I saw a face I recognized. And accusingly, I said, "You're Huell Hauser." And he very politely nodded and said, "Yes, I am." With that, I, without hesitation, turned to a total stranger, I must have been out of my mind, on my left and said, "Sir, would you mind changing places with Mr. Hauser? There are so many things I need to ask him."
So we
And this-
became friends immediately.
He came across, then you sent me a picture of the two of us. Somebody took a picture of the two of us, which delighted me. And you've just made going to Palm Springs worthwhile.
We're new best friends. The two Anns and I are.
Yes.
And
We go as an entry.
we're here because you, in that initial conversation, said, "I saw your program about the French Garden. I want to go there for lunch." And I said, "Let me take you."
It was the fastest invitation from a cold friend I have ever met in my entire life.
But you're used to this, aren't you? Hanging out with her.
Oh, yes, it's quite a trip, I can tell you.
Does she, I don't want to say this in front of her, but she doesn't embarrass you, but she does have a different way of approaching people, doesn't
Oh, yes, there's nothing shy about Annie. And she's so interesting that I just go along and listen. You know, after all, she's older than I am, so I have to bow to age, you know.
How long have you all known each other?
Honey, before that, I want to tell you that when I told my daughter the story, she says, "Mother, you picked him up?" I said, "He's my best pickup."
Yeah, boy, she did pick me up. Now, let's talk about how long the two Anns have been friends.
Well, in our business, you automatically know anybody who has a name that sounds familiar. So you hurl yourself at those people. No matter where you go, you're just delighted. And Annie and I have hurled ourselves at each other at different parties. We always say goodbye to each other. The best thing we did, we took a trip to Australia together. And it was the most fun thing. Anne has never met a stranger. She picked up people left and right. We had gentlemen who collected us at the door when it was time to go to dinner.
So you all have known each other for a number of years.
Well, not that many. Yeah, maybe 6 or 7
But tell
years or
everybody the
something.
Ann Miller story, because that's the one I
Well, it
like. Have you
started
heard
out
her
Annie
Ann
Miller.
Miller story?
No, I'm curious because Annie was part of our group.
The
There was-
three Anns.
There was Annie Miller, Annie Jeffries, and Annie Rutherford.
That's right. Well, Ann Miller and her mother were very close friends to my mother, and they enjoyed the Motion Picture Mothers group. So Annie Miller and I went as an entry, and it was the two Anns. And then we fell in love with Ann Jeffries.
It became the three
It
Anns.
became the three Anns, yes, even though...
Ann Miller has left us now, but the two Anns
Yes.
are still very much here together.
At the time, Ann Miller was no E. She was just A-N-N. I was just A-N-N. And then we let her come in with her dangling E. But it's all right. I've kept her in the act.
She's still dangling my E. I was born Annie, A-N-N-I-E, and I took the I out and became Ann. So
She's
that's-
just doing that.
She's dangling my. I'll get you later.
Now we haven't technically introduced you ladies to the audience. I'm sure some of them have figured it all out now, but introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, my name is Ann Jeffries, and we're big fans of Howell's. I watch the show all the time, and I wonder how he gets around. So he travels the most interesting
But wait a minute,
places.
we're here to talk
Yeah.
about you.
Oh, I don't want to talk. I know about me, so.
Because you've had this amazing career in movies, in television, on stage and Broadway.
Yes, theater.
Show on television.
That was Topper.
Topper, yes.
So people recognize you and know you from a myriad of sources over the years, movies, TV, Broadway.
It's been a wonderful trip, I tell you. I've enjoyed it. And my favorite, though, is theater.
When the two of you are out together, is there any sense of, I don't want to say competition, but who might recognize you as opposed to who might recognize Ann?
No, I don't think so. I don't. If they recognize us at all, they say, you know, you look like Ann Jeffries. And I said, oh, I do? How is she? Have you seen her lately?
And Ann Rutherford, you're another story, because I turned on Turner Movie Classics 2 nights ago, and there you are with with Mickey Rooney in the Andy Hardy movies.
That's
you did
right.
How many of those?
I think we made 17 or 18. I think I was in about 16. We, as actors, owe such a debt to Ted Turner, who in his infinite wisdom bought all those negatives and runs them, because they are from the days of the studios,
Right.
where we had every studio had a stock company of people. You could tell by the supporting players what the studio was.
And you were with MGM.
I was with him, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and that was the White House.
And the White House included your role in
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. You played
Pictures.
Scarlett O'Hara's younger sister on Gone with the Wind.
That is right. And I did a series with, only 3, with Red Skelton. The whistling, we whistled in Dixie, we whistled in the dark, we whistled in Brooklyn, we whistled any place. But the wonderful thing is that Ted Turner, by re-releasing these after these many years, because it was in the early 70s that everything was sold off,
Yeah.
that suddenly grandchildren realized that Grandpa used to be somebody.
Yeah.
That Grandma was quite a dish in her day.
Now, let me ask you about that, because this is very interesting. A lot of younger people might not recognize your names at all.
Yeah.
But for anyone of a certain age and above, I was telling people that I was having lunch today with Ann Jeffries and Ann Rutherford, and their eyes lit up, and they knew everything that you had done in your career. That's very interesting, isn't it?
Well, that's wonderful to know.
Well, you know that.
Well, you know, it's so a part of my life. I don't know any difference. If I had to do something else to make a living, I would starve to death.
Yeah.
All I know is my trade, which is acting and singing.
Wow. Well, you hooked up with a good partner here.
I sure did, didn't I?
Because that's probably your DNA as well.
The most amazing thing was my studio and L.B. Mayer were not going to let me be borrowed by David Selznick for Gone with the Wind. Mr. Mayer called me in. He said, I want to be the one to tell you my son-in-law is trying to borrow you, but we can't let you do it. It's a nothing part. I said, what is it? He said, I don't know. It's something to do with slaves and the Civil War, and those pictures never did make any money. And he said, we can't put your name above the title in our pictures and then lend you out to do nothing. Well, of course, I burst out crying. I said, what was the name of the picture? Because all I knew was that David Selznick was spending about 2 years getting ready to make this Gone with the Wind thing. And when I came up with the name Margaret Mitchell and was it Gone with the Wind? And he said, yes, that's when I beat him to it and I burst out crying. He was the emotional one usually. And he said, well, if you want to ruin your career. I said, what career? He said, well, you've got a pretty good one going now. And I said, I don't care. I want to go with the... I just want to be on the set and watch this book come to life around me. So if anybody had told him and me in 1939 that 71 years later I would still be riding the wind.
The two of you all, it's such an interesting combination because you're a little more reserved.
Well, the difference is I'm really rather shy, and I never went after any role in my life. And Annie would go, boom, you know, she saw a role she wanted, she went and made sure she got it by hook or by crook. I never did that. I'm sort of, I think the word is shy.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Well,
But
especially in your business.
Oh, but not when I get on stage. When I
That's
get
when
on stage and that spotlight hits me, I am home and I'm happy and I know what I'm doing. So,
Is it more comfortable for the two of you when you get together to talk about the good old days, or are you talking about what's going to happen next in your life? I mean, you're looking for something to a play to be in.
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of things brewing right now. Don't move back, but it's to be to London. Would you miss me if I went to London?
You think she should go to London to be in a play?
I could go to London. She went to London the day after Christmas. What else do you do?
Would you go to London to see her in a play?
You bet I would. You betcha.
Would you do another movie?
No. No, that's work. You have to rehearse. I mean, no, that's work. Stage is different. You get immediate reaction as an audience. You hear that laughter and you're the strongest person on earth.
Did you enjoy your Broadway or your Topper and your movie days better?
Well, of course, Topper was with my husband, Robert Sterling, so that was wonderful. We did 79 of those before we retired.
79 toppers,
Yeah.
television toppers.
So many people asked me, they said, oh, we grew up watching Topper and we'd love to see them again. I said, I have no jurisdiction over them.
Where is Topper? Where are the Topper films?
I don't know who owns them now. At one time, the King brothers had them.
They were the game show people, weren't they?
Right.
The King brothers. So see, we got to find Topper and get it back on the air along with your Andy Hardy movies.
It can't hurt. We just get our hands on Ted Turner.
Do you still get residuals from Gone with the Wind? Are
No.
you getting big checks in the
No.
mail every week?
No. That only started in 1949.
So you missed out on all
Missed
that.
out on all of that. But I'm so ahead in my life, the wonderful times that I've had.
I didn't even go out to Hollywood until 1941. And you know, I started out as an opera singer.
Really?
I had my own radio show at Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, when I was 10. 15 minutes of song a day. And I was training. My mother wanted me to be an opera singer, and I trained and trained. I went to college and majored, of course, in music. And my first film was with Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy, and I married an angel. And I had been in love with Nelson since I was 5 years old. My grandmother used to take me to all his films. And it was just wonderful. And I tried. They were going to test me for a contract there at Metro. I would have been in the Little Red Schoolhouse with Annie.
You all would have been in a movie together.
Well, we would have been training together.
I worked with her husband, Robert Sterling. Oh, he was gorgeous and a good actor. Always knew his dialogue, never ran into the furniture, hit his mark right every time.
You know, this is so interesting because I'm torn between why I enjoy you all so much. On one hand, it's the wonderful old stories of Hollywood back when it was really Hollywood.
It was such a wonderful era.
I know, but
honey.
wait a minute. I want to get to the second reason
All right.
I enjoy being around you. Is because when you're with these two ladies, you're not just hearing about the old days and great old stories, but you're tapping into the energy that you both have for life today.
Well, you know, they've been after Annie to write a book, and they've been after me to write a book about our lives. And I copy everything she does anyway. And she told them, she said, I'm not going to write a book. I'm too busy living my life.
Right.
So when they came to me, I said, I'm not going to write a book. I'm too busy. You know, I'm living and I'm enjoying it. And I'm beginning to, of course, she is a lot older, you know, but.
You know what? This is what's so fascinating about the two of them. Driving down here through the industrial part of downtown LA and looking out at the garment district, the toy district, you all were both fascinated at what you saw at the pinata place that we passed by. I mean, so life isn't something just to be lived in the past. It's something to be
now. As a song of Norway, Edvard Grieg. It said, now, not tomorrow, but now. And that's it. You have to live each day at its fullest, because we don't know what tomorrow brings.
I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I know what today has brought. I know what this program has brought, because there are a lot of people, millions of people out there watching right now who are just absolutely delighted to see the two of you and to remember all the movies, all the television, all the Broadway that they have seen you do over the years. And then there are a lot of new people who don't know who Ann Jeffries and Ann Rutherford are, who now do and are intrigued and curious and excited that they have listened to you share your stories, just a small part of your stories and your life lessons with them.
By the way, Annie, I have decided to write a book about my life, and you're in it. To do what?
She's going to write a book about her life, and you're in it.
I'll fix you. I'll get you.
Boy.
No, we're too busy to sit and rock. Why anybody wants to sit and rock, heaven only knows.
Yeah.
I prop myself up and get myself out and start all over again.
And I have a feeling that both of you have been this way all your lives.
I've never seen anybody be here twice. All I know is this is my one and only trip, and I don't want to miss anything if I can possibly avoid it.
Well, we're not missing anything today. We're here at the French Garden. I am once again seated between these two lovely ladies. Who knows what the rest of the day is going to bring? I promised your son I'd have you back by 3. It's just 1:15 and we haven't even started to eat.
Don't listen to him. I don't.
What a wonderful day we've had here in Los Angeles with the two Anns. I hope you've had as much fun as we have.